So welcome along to A Story to Tell with me, Richard Beauvoisin. This is mainly taken from my Radio Bath show every Thursday morning from 10 until 12. If you do like it, don't forget to subscribe, share it to others, and let everyone know all about Radio Bath. Hope you enjoy it. Morning everyone, there's a new one by Sophie Ellis-Bextor, Freedom of the Night. Really excited today. Sat opposite me is the lovely Ian Weller. I'm going to say it right now. Hang on. Waller. Let's get it right. Always helpful to say the correct name. And he's the editor of the Bath and Wiltshire Parenting magazine. If you do want any questions for him, it's studio@radiobath.com. We're going to be talking about a variety of things. Been chatting to him in our new green room. So, yeah. It's in a reception area, really, but I'm going to call it the green room from now on. And, yeah, he's a really interesting chap, so really looking forward to chatting to him over the next couple of hours, here till midday today. Good morning, everybody. So it's Fleetwood Mac and Go Your Own Way. It's Richard Beauvoisin here on Radio Bath today. My guest today, Ian Waller, chose that track. Good morning, Ian.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Why did you choose that track, then?
Well, I mean, over the years, amongst many things, I've been in a few bands.
Okay.
And one was a local sort of covers band called Middle Stump. We all got together from a cricket club. And we weren't bad, actually. And one of the tracks I really enjoyed playing was Go Your Own Way, Fleetwood Mac.
So what instrument did you play then?
I played and still do play the bass guitar. I play a bit of guitar as well.
Yeah.
And, we used to play all sorts of clubs and birthday parties and all this sort of thing. And it was a great bit of fun. And they're all playing still at different places. And one day, you never know, there might be a reunion.
I was going to say, you're not getting back into the Middle Stump?
No, not at the moment.
No,
everybody's too busy at the moment, but you never know. Fingers crossed, could be.
So I still play the guitar, and I did have a go at the bass.
Yeah.
Now, I pitched myself too high, so I thought, do you know, I really love the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I thought I'll just try a couple of their tracks, and the bassist in that band is quite exceptional.
Flea.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's incredible. And yeah, you're setting yourself a very high target there.
Well, what I did is my sergeant, this is when I was back in my RAF days, he showed me how to play it a little bit. And we started with Flea, and it didn't go so well, if I'm honest with you. I can play guitar, but it didn't go quite so well. Went back to country music. At that point there, it was literally dum, 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 dum. And then I got quite bored.
Yeah, country music, and the other one that's incredibly easy is AC/DC.
Oh, okay.
The lead guitar, awesome. The bass guitar is just boom, 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 boom,
right.
boom, boom, boom. And it's great. So if you want to feel good about yourself, dig out some AC/DC. Play along, and that's pretty straightforward.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Right, you're here today because you are the editor of the Bath and Wiltshire Parenting magazine. Is that the correct term? Parent magazine.
Parent magazine.
Not
that's
parenting.
Right.
Yeah. So, how did you become the editor of the Bath and Wiltshire Parent magazine? What a title!
So the Bath and Wiltshire Parent. Yeah. Well, I've been a journo for 40 odd years. I am that old, and through many terms and whatever, I ended up back in Bath. I'm a Bath boy, born in Bath. Used to live on Park Lane. We always said our front garden was Victoria Park, which was always great as kids.
Yeah.
But ended up back in Bath, and a lovely person I knew, Samantha Walker, we worked together at the Bath Chronicle as freelance. I was freelance. She was on the team there. And she started the magazine up. And it was when my daughter was 1. So I was involved from day one as a Dad's Diary columnist.
Okay.
And loved it. She did a great job putting the mag together. And then cut forward a little bit, I was just going off.
When is this?
We're talking quite 17 years ago.
Right.
17, yeah. And one day we went off on holiday, my wife and I and our 3 very little children in the back of the car, 2 little children at that time. And I said, if the magazine ever comes up for sale, I might buy it.
Okay.
And we came back from holiday, and there was a message on the answer machine from Sam saying, I'm thinking of selling the magazine. Do you want it?
Wow.
So cut forward a little bit more. We bought the magazine, and now we built it up. So now it's the biggest mag in Bath.
Yeah.
Goes to 22,000 families. This sounds like a sales pitch.
Sell away. This Bath and Wiltshire Parent magazine.
Yeah, we go through every single school in Bath, Salford, Keynsham, and lots across West Wiltshire. And it's a good team. We've got a really good team. That's why I say we. It's very much
Give them a shout out. Who's in your team, Ian?
So our team, we got lovely Susie Douche, who does our events. We got the fantastic Georgette McCready, who does our school reports and features. Anna Barclay, who's one of the best photographers you get.
But she's neither lovely nor fantastic.
She is lovely and fantastic.
And fantastic. Okay,
actually.
Just get that clear.
Yeah, yeah. And there's Russ, who does the design, and there's Fee and Steph, who do the deliveries. And yeah, it's brilliant. Really good team. And I bet I've forgotten somebody, and that's going to be really bad, isn't it?
They're going to come. You're going to go back to the office, and they'll say, "You forgot me." Yeah. So if you do think of somebody, just chuck them in at some point. Otherwise, you are going to be thrown under the bus. Now, the magazine world is quite different than what it used to be, isn't it? I was trying to think of the last time I bought a magazine. I remember back in the day buying Smash Hits magazine and trying to find the lyrics of songs and all of that. Now, of course, you just ask Alexa, or sorry if anybody's got Alexa listening at the moment. I've just said Alexa, and now we get very confused. So, kind of, why did you buy the magazine? Because at that point, there surely the trends were changing. Well,
my history has always been newspapers and magazines. I've done online. We have a very successful website as well. The Bath and Wiltshire Parent.co.uk is the link and the plug. And we get 23,000 visitors a month to that. So it does well. But I'm still convinced there's a really good market out there for decent magazines that really hit their readership.
Okay.
And I think also the magazine is free, so it's distributed through children's book bags. So as long as it's getting to the readership and it's a well put together magazine, the product sells itself.
Yeah.
And everybody that works on the magazine, as well as being a parent, which is hugely important, they're all professional writers, they're all professional designers. So if the quality's there and the content's there, the readership will be there. And if you get the readership, you'll get the advertising.
Okay.
And we're growing. I mean, we're growing all the time. We're in every single school in Bath, Salford and Keynsham, but there's always another Wiltshire school that will say, could we take it? Or Frome is a big growth area for us now. And if the product is there...
So how does that work then for schools? If any school did want to kind of take it on, do they have to pay you to...
No, there's no payment at all. No, the magazines are delivered in bundles of 30, which is basic classroom size.
Yeah.
And they get dropped to the school. So next week, my team will be out delivering magazines, bless them. It's hard work, but they do a cracking job. And then it's delivered to the schools, and the schools, there's no charge whatsoever. Right. And then if they have news that they'd like us to share, the first maybe 10 pages of the magazine is news from the schools.
I was going to look at that. I was reading, we were talking off air, and I was reading this magazine this morning. Just as it happens, I said to my wife that I was interviewing you, and she went, "Oh, that magazine's in the bin. Let me fish it out for you."
Yeah,
some parts
for that,
parts of it were wet, if I'm honest with you, but it's okay. It has gone back into recycling now after I've read it. But yeah, the first kind of 10 pages or so are all news from the schools.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot, and I mean it goes up on the website, so the website is updated every day, and this is really important because the schools have got stories to tell. The achievements of the children. It could be sport and success. It could be the dreaded Ofsted inspection. It could be a new teacher coming on board, and they want to tell the world about it. And this is how they can tell, as families, as carers and parents, that this is what we're doing at the school, and this is what's benefiting your children.
Okay.
And it's really important to have that two-way communication with schools. So if they want to pass on information to the wider Bath and Wiltshire world, we can do it for them.
I was going to say, how else would anybody know what's going on in a school?
Exactly.
Unless your child goes there, and I've got 4 children in total, and my youngest is still at school, and it's the classic question: how was school today? Good. And that's kind of what you get.
Yeah,
and most of the time, you have no idea what's going on at the schools. At all. So I think so. If anybody wanted to, if any schools are listening and they wanted to actually kind of take the magazine to their school, how would they do it?
They can contact us. They can go to the website, the Bath and Wiltshire Parent.co.uk. They can email editor@thebathparent.co.uk. They will all find their way ultimately to me or one of the team, and then we'll happily arrange that so that can happen. And similarly, if they've got news or they've got an open day coming up, let us know. And we'll shout about it. And we also do the Bristol Parent website, so similarly for Bristol schools.
So it'll go on the websites as well as the actual magazines?
The magazine is bi-monthly, so if we can fit it in with the next print run, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it will almost guarantee to go on the website.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, you're saying 40 years worth of journalism. So that must have taken you to some different places. What type of journalism have you done then?
Oh, it's great, isn't it? It started off many, many years ago on the Melksham News. Now, the Melksham News is your perfect local newspaper, and it's still going today.
Right.
And it's still the same editor, actually.
Okay.
A fantastic fellow called Ian Drew, who I owe a lot to. I was in Melksham at George Ward School, which has now been demolished, which I think was the best thing for George Ward School, I have to be honest. That's been demolished, and I didn't know what to do. And my dear old mum said, "Why don't you speak to Ian?" She was a teacher. Ian was one of her former pupils, so I went on to Ian and got a part-time job on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And it was great. It really was. On my bike, notebook, go off, go to a 40th birthday, a 60th wedding anniversary, whatever, report it, take the pictures, go back to the office, write it up, develop the film,
Right.
print the film, and it was a really brilliant apprenticeship. And so Ian's still going. We quite often meet up for a curry and see how things are going. And so it started off there, and then I ended up going to London to Poly, which for people that remember it, it was sort of the cheap version of uni.
Well, not quite uni, but kind of still further education.
Yeah, you got a degree at the end of it, and I got my degree. I didn't get my Desmond, which was a 2-2. I got a 2-1 in media studies. Worked for the college paper, and then back then, Mondays was Guardian Media Day.
Right.
And you get the Guardian, and they'd have all the media jobs in it. This is before online, before internet, and there was a job going for staff writer on Caravan magazine in Croydon. Now, who doesn't want to write about caravans?
Well, you're looking at somebody.
Yeah, but actually, I applied, I got the job, and again, it was a good training, really good team, lovely bunch. And it was wonderful because what it allowed me to do was travel a lot. I arrived at the job at the office for the first day, and they presented me with the keys to this brand new car, because they also tested cars on the magazine to tow your caravans. And that was one of my jobs, so I tested cars.
Right.
Went round Europe testing cars, which was fantastic, and towing caravans and taking caravans to Spain and to France and to Germany, and it was really wonderful.
Now, we're going to talk about caravans shortly, because you've written a book about caravans as well.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Which we'll go on to in a second. We're going to play a bit of music. Now, you've chosen this next track. It's Johnny Cash. Why Johnny?
Why Johnny? Well, my dear old dad loved his Johnny Cash. We played a bit of Johnny Cash with Middle Stump, and I actually got the great pleasure of seeing the great man live in all places, of all places, Fairfield Hall in Croydon. And so I thought it might be quite good to dig a bit of Johnny out today.
Here's some Johnny.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. I hear the train a-comin', it's rolling around a bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on.
Lights, camera, action, that's it.
Indeed. So thank you, Kylie, for that one. Lights, camera, action, Radio Bath. Here till midday, it's Richard Beauvoisin. The lovely Ian Waller is here with me today. I just realised my chair's really squeaky.
It is quite squeaky.
It is quite squeaky. Yeah, I'm trying to sit still, but I don't sit still very well.
Do you not?
No. So every time I'm moving, that is just the chair.
You need a fidget spinner or something.
I do. Absolutely. I have the pleasure of being autistic, and I do use a fidget spinner from time to time. But there we go. We're going to talk about caravans.
Hey.
I know, it's everybody's favourite topic, isn't it? Or not, as the case may be.
Yeah.
So you... Just before the break, you spoke about that you were driving around Europe, testing cars. Were you testing caravans as well?
There was generally, a caravan stuck to the back of it.
What era are we talking about here?
What were we talking about? We're talking around the 2000.
Okay.
So, everybody wants to talk about caravans. It's so funny. But yeah, it was great. And it was. And do you know what? Unless I'm stuck behind one on the M5, I love a caravan. I've not been in one for a couple of decades. So
okay. So you and we'll talk about your book shortly, the top-selling, best-selling book.
Yeah.
Okay. So you haven't been in a caravan for a while then?
No, it's not since I've had the kids. Caravans are great without kids for me. I mean, we used to, when I was a wee little nipper, we used to go away on our family holidays in caravans. And it was great back then, and we have done it, and it's gone all right, but I think they're perfect for a couple.
Okay.
Lots of people caravan with kids. Good on you. You've got more patience than I have. But, yeah, and also my kids are all now, the boys are 6 foot odd, and, you know, they don't really want to be in a caravan.
They don't fancy being in a caravan with their dad?
No.
Not so much. I now have the pleasure of 2 of my eldest are at university now, and I now get a weekly time slot when I get to talk to them. It's got to that point. They've gone from being in your home every day to a weekly time slot, and even that doesn't always work.
So. Well, I'm very much in the taxi phase.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, taxi for whichever one needs to get to judo or skateboarding or whatever, and that's cool. I like it. It's great to be there for them.
Fair enough. Now, let's talk about your book then. Okay, so this is the best-selling, top-level book, available in all good bookshops and bad ones too. Yeah. Tell us the title of this book.
It's I think I've forgotten, actually. It's the DIY Caravan Service Manual or something. When you say best-selling, it probably...
It might have been slightly tongue-in-cheek.
Slightly exaggerated. It's probably the best-selling amongst caravan DIY service manuals.
Is it the only one?
Haynes did one as well, and I think the Haynes one outsold the Porter Publishing one, which is the one I did. I was contacted one day by a fellow called Lindsay Porter. Very nice guy, enjoyed chatting with him, and he said, could you do this book? And I was a single bloke, just thought, well, I've never written a book. So I put this book together, mainly through borrowing the information from the caravan manufacturers. And so the DIY Caravan, whatever it's called, was born.
Right.
I know of 2 copies that exist. Mum's got one, I've got the other. And I did look it up the other day.
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, it is on eBay. There's a picture of me with a wonderful mullet on the front, changing a wheel.
Caravan DIY
service maintenance, something like that. Porter Publishing. Have a look. Porter
maintenance.
Publishing.
I generally am, as you can see, am looking it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a corker. It'll send you to sleep at night if you've got insomnia. But and it's still out there. I don't know if it's still in print. But yeah, if anybody's got a copy, they would like a signature. I do make personal appearances.
and are you a big charger for those personal appearances, or
no? I don't think it would be right. I think a cup of tea and a piece of cake could do very nicely.
Is that all that's required? I'll be honest, I can't find it.
Which I find that surprising,
is disappointing. If I'm sure I found it the other day, but yeah, if anybody does find it, then I believe it's known as an antique now, and might be worth some money. Certainly with a signature from yourself.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
anything is possible as life goes on. So what I mean, I'm always intrigued. I love doing radio, and I love talking to people, and you never know what contacts you get from talking to people. So you wrote a book about DIY for caravans. What contacts did you get from that, and how did it go? Yeah, where did it go from there then?
From the book specifically, nothing too thrilling. I have to be honest. With the magazine, because I'd actually worked for 2 different caravan magazines. It was Caravan Magazine, and Caravan Plus. Now, Caravan Plus got me to Future Publishing in Bath, because Future Publishing had just started, and wonderful company to work for. And it was back in the days when weren't that many people there, and they decided they were going to start a caravan magazine, and I was headhunted.
Wow, why not? I mean, you're a published author about it.
Absolutely, I was the man for caravans at the time. So I was lured back to Bath. I was born in Bath, moved away, came back, which has to become something of a pattern of my life, and worked down here. And Caravan Plus was brilliant. It was great. It was at Future Publishing, so I also got to freelance for a number of the other mags there, particularly the guitar mags. I love my rock music. I love my guitars, so worked for them. But also with the magazine, we did a few interviews. So Les Ferdinand was a caravaner.
Footballer, for those that aren't aware of who
wonderful
Les is.
fella, and really good guy as well for... all sort of equal rights in football. Really, really important. David Gold, who famously was involved with Ann Summers. And he was a fascinating fella to speak to.
Why?
I've got to say, I got that mixed up. David Gold was actually from a flying magazine I worked with. And David Gold, he lived in this amazing Barbie house type mansion. And very nice guy, little fella. And he had this wonderful house that was full of gold chintz. And in the entrance hall, which is a big entrance hall, there was a grand piano that would play itself.
Okay.
I thought that was...
We all need those.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've always wanted one, but we just don't have the entrance hall, unfortunately. And he owned the FA Cup, the original FA Cup. So he took me down to his vault room, which we've all, again, got a vault room.
Of course we do, yes.
And he showed me the FA Cup, and he was a fantastic fella to talk to. So you do get to meet a few interesting people along the way. And Les was great. And then when I was on the guitar mags... which is my favourite bit, people like Richie Blackmore. Now, do you know Richie Blackmore? You know Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water?
Yeah.
He's the guitarist.
Oh, okay.
He was the guitarist of Deep Purple and Rainbow, and he was a delightful man. And, what's his name from the Shadows? Hank Marvin.
Right.
A few people like this. And that's great fun to meet these people. And you've kind of got to stop yourself, your jaw hitting the floor when you walk in, and these are some of your heroes.
Well, the one thing that I found from doing this job is that, and it really surprised me, it took me a while to get used to it, but that everybody is normal.
Completely.
And that is the bit that really surprised me. However, people have then countered that and they said, well, you think everybody's normal, but you're not normal yourself. I'm like... What do you mean? I went, well, you're used to being up on stage or being in front of a microphone, so therefore this for me is normal, but for everybody else this would be abnormal.
But you're absolutely right, and they've also got lives away from being a rock guitarist. So with Richie Blackmore, he ended up saying, where did you live? And I said, I live in Bath. And we got somehow on to talk about poltergeists.
Okay.
And he's mad on ghosts. He loves ghosts, and I used to live in this house on Park Lane that had a poltergeist, apparently.
Of course.
Of course it does, as you all do. And we talked for ages about ghosts. Now, I had no guess that day that I'd be chatting about poltergeists with Richard Blackmore from Deep Purple, but there you go. And what a lovely fella.
So how do you feel today? So in all of those, you were the interviewer.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling today being the interviewee?
It's a lot better. You're very good at this. Yeah, I haven't got to think too much. I can just spout all sorts. But no, it's... I enjoyed being the interviewer. I think, you're better than I was. But, you can go off on tangents. And I think, as you're saying, if you relax with it and you get to know the people, you can come up with all sorts of interesting things.
Yeah.
And I think that's... I was listening to an interview the other day with Elkie Brooks, the singer, and it went off at a tangent that she does Aikido.
Okay.
Now, that's fantastic. I didn't know that. It's just new things you learn. And I think, if you can get really relaxed with somebody...
Yeah,
that's when the interesting stuff comes along.
I thank you for the compliment. I appreciate those. I just love doing it, and that's I think the thing that really comes across from anybody that loves doing what they do is it's very easy. I love teaching dancing. I don't have to work at it. I have to work on keeping fit and keeping ahead of the game and all of that type of stuff. But actually, the presenting and the working of teaching is for me quite second nature now, and I just simply enjoy doing it. Going back to the magazine, the Bath and Wiltshire Parent Magazine.
Thank you for the plug.
That's okay. Yes, available online and via magazine, free of charge via children's schools. So, kind of get into the journey. So you became editor because you bought it.
Yeah, so I bought it and took it over. So that doesn't just make you editor. That makes you T-boy. That makes you delivery person. The lot. And in the early days, it was very much me and Russell, the designer. Now, I've worked with Russell now for 17 years. I've never actually met him.
Oh, okay.
It's incredible. It's all online. He's brilliant. He does a fantastic job. We will meet up one day and have a beer and a baked sandwich or something. But and so in the early days it was me. And then since then this wonderful team has grown around us. We gave them the name checks earlier. And the magazine now puts out 22,000 copies. And it takes a lot of work, particularly with the website. So the website's updated every day. And it's a matter of... I'm a great believer in communities, so within a community might be the people you live with, it might be people you work with, and there's also the school and parenting community, and you've got to be part of it to really understand it. We were chatting earlier about how do you know what your readership wants, and that is crucial.
Yeah.
And our readership is both the parents and carers of the children, and it's also the teachers, the heads, the TAs at the school, and it's really important to understand what they need from this magazine. And what the information they want to put across. It's easy to bring out a magazine and put in what you want, but it won't last.
No. Well, we're going to delve much more into what goes into the magazine right after this. There's Up the Junction and Squeeze, another choice from my guest Ian Waller, who's here from Bath's biggest magazine, the Bath and Wiltshire Parent.
Thank you very
much.
much.
Read from the front cover of your latest magazine. Why did you choose that track?
Oh, it's a cracking track. I mean, Squeeze is just one of the great British bands, and they're playing along at the Forum soon. So we often pop along to the Forum and review gigs and shows along there.
Do they give you free tickets for it?
They do.
They do?
They do. Sorry, that was a whisper. Yes, they do. But we review.
Yes.
And we preview. So it's great to work. I mean, we work really well with Comedia and the Theatre Royal and the Egg and the wonderful Forum and the Hippodrome, indeed, in Bristol.
Yeah.
We have the Bristol Parent as well online, so we review stuff from there. And it's the big perk of the job that I love. I mean, my family and I all like gigs and shows, so it's who's going with Dad this time?
Right.
So we were along a gig the other day from the Jam, which is a sort of Jam tribute act. And that was great fun. Yeah, really enjoyed it. All men of a certain age. We live in their youth. So, and Squeeze, just a brilliant British band.
So do you deal with Kieran at the Comedia then?
I deal with lovely Abby.
Oh, okay.
And Kieran.
And Kieran.
Yeah, as well. And they're great.
Yeah,
Lovely people.
I love Comedia.
It's a great venue.
So I turn 50 in a couple of weeks' time.
No.
Or less than a couple of weeks' time now. I know. I don't look anywhere near it.
Can't believe it.
I thought you were going to say, no, you look nearer 60. Thank you for that, but that's fine. Last part of it is we've got a big group of 40 of us or so going to Comedia for the comedy acts. And
brilliant.
We might jump around in the mosh pit afterwards.
The Equator Comedy Club is cracking. I've been along a number of times.
Yeah.
We had an office party there. And they put on a really good show, and it's good fun. So, yeah. Big up Comedia.
Yeah, no, it's really well run. I went to see Newton Faulkner there recently as well, and it was an amazing gig because he was just so close, and I love the fact that he went wrong a few times. And when we talk about connection to the audience, he was like, "Can somebody remind? I've forgotten the lyrics." And literally, you could see he genuinely had forgotten the lyrics. He wasn't pretentious. It was just him, his guitar, and I thought it was brilliant. And it was a Sunday night, and it was sold out. Which was brilliant. Back to the magazine, though.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the actual structure of it. So, kind of how much of the magazine is adverts and how much of it is editorial, then?
So the magazine is a free magazine, so the adverts pay for the magazine. And it's very easy with a free magazine to cram it full of adverts because that makes you a bit more money. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't look after the readers. The readers, from my point of view, the readers must come first. That's what the magazine's about. That's who the advertisers are looking to reach. So we have a simple rule on the magazine. There's always more editorial than advertising. We could sell more ads. I mean, the issues sell out. But you need to look at the longevity of the magazine. You need to look after your readership, and you need to look after your advertisers. Yeah. Most of our advertisers have been with us for years. Absolutely years, and I respect that, and we look after them.
Yeah.
Any advertiser, where possible, I will use their services myself. So we use Western Garage.
Okay.
Western Garage.
You know where this is going, don't you?
Go on then.
So let's say, I run a company, which I'm not going to mention. Okay. So I run a dance company.
Yep.
Okay. And if I was to advertise in your magazine, would you come along to our night then?
Oh, thank you for that. Do you know, I would.
Okay.
I would, because, I mean, again, we review things. So we'll be reviewing Squeeze at the Forum when they go along. So something like your dance thing, if it's aimed at our demographic, so if you get mainly
parents,
decrepit men in their 50s come along, I would find somebody that fits that description.
And men in their 50s are okay as well.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah. But yeah, we get somebody to come along. And sometimes
when
that
you
is
say
me.
Somebody...
Yeah, you'll see where this is going.
Yeah.
So somebody else, possibly me. It could well be me.
Okay.
It's important to be open to experiences. And we would come along and try it out. So we're working with, for example, Circus Health in Bath that do all sorts of chiropractic and Pilates, where we're getting a mum to go along to one of their Pilates lessons.
Brilliant.
So we can report back. So it's really important. When you work with somebody, I strongly believe it can't just be you do something, they write a check or transfer the money. You've got to create a relationship. And, you know, if Radio Bath are out on the road and we can promote what you're doing, we'll do that. And it's really important to have that ongoing relationship. So we do as much as we can for everybody we work with, or the schools we work with. If they've got an open day, we'll promote it for them. If the local garage has got a whatever on, we'll promote it for them, and that's really important.
It must be very difficult, though, to choose sometimes what you're going to do. As the editor, I'm guessing the buck stops with you.
Yep.
So first of all, advertising-wise, how do you choose your advertisers? Because I'm guessing there are some things that for this magazine that wouldn't be suitable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the readership of the magazine largely is mums. And but mums aren't just mums, and dads aren't just dads. Mums and dads also buy cars, book holidays, go out for a restaurant, go for a meal, maybe go on holiday. So all of those areas are there for them. But you've also, if there was something... I had a wonderful press release come through the other day for a new range of chainsaws.
Okay.
Not quite sure why it came to the editor of the Bath and Wiltshire Parent, but it did. Now, obviously, that wasn't going to go in the magazine or on the website because it's not relevant.
Yeah.
And the one rule I have with content, it must be reader relevant. So it's got to be in there. Even if you offer to pay a whole load of cash, it wouldn't go in because it's not relevant. And for the longevity of the mag and the reputation of the magazine, it has to be relevant.
Okay. And then kind of on the editorial side then, are there times when you're kind of thinking, oh, can I put this in? Should I put this in? Has there been any kind of times when you're like, this is a bit dodgy?
Yeah, it does. But then if in doubt, I generally leave it out because it's quite a cuddly, friendly magazine. I mean, every issue we focus on a different school. And we have a wonderful team with Georgette and Anna that go along and do a school report. Now, we're not Ofsted. We're not looking to criticise the school. We're looking to find the good bits about that school. And that's what we're about. And we give them a chance to say what they want to say about the school. And that's very much, the magazine, the product we are. We're not Newsnight. We're not going to pin people against the wall and...
No, I mean, I'm obviously going to drill down right now and go deep into this very much so. I mean, there was an article in here that was from this one, which is you chatted to Emma Puttock, MD of Now, Next and Then. Tell me about that.
She's brilliant. So Now, Next and Then offer a range of supports and services for people with children who maybe some of their needs aren't being met in the school system. They might be, and they just need some additional help. And Emma and her team will work with all sorts of families from right across the area. So it might be around SEND issues, which is special educational needs and disabilities. And she works with people like that. And someone like Emma and Now, Next and Then is core to what we do because we're offering extra information. There's so much pressure on teachers and schools to be everything to children now. I think to be a teacher now, you're a hero. You should wear a cape. And there's lots of information out there that they're not always going to know about, and we can provide that. So in the next issue, for example, we're speaking to a homeschool centre near Laycock. This is for children who just don't really work. It hasn't worked for them being in the mainstream school. It's not anti-mainstream school. It's an alternative. And we're able to tell people about that. And that's a great part of the magazine, a very fulfilling part of the magazine.
Yeah.
That we can pass that information on.
Now, my lovely wife, love her to bits, okay, she used to be the editor of their company magazine.
Right.
And I used to watch her in action. So she would get the first drafts come through and she would be putting so many squiggles on so many pieces of paper. I don't know if this seems familiar to yourself or not.
Yep.
And I was flabbergasted at her level of detail that she would go to. Okay. Now, I'm going to go quite high level here regarding the level of detail. Do you decide on, you've got your article here, so for instance page 38 is help for the children and their families, you chatting to Emma Puttock. Do you look at what the adverts are on that same page and go, is it relevant or are there connections there? Does it go to that level?
Yeah, you do have to bear that in mind. And it's you need to know what the reader wants and what the advertiser wants. So you would be careful maybe with a dieting. We have had diet things in next to an eating out review, for example. And you've got to be very careful with that. Every area has got to be looked at. Once you've been doing it for a while, it's not too difficult.
No.
But I think it's really important, as I said earlier, to look after and appreciate the needs of your readers, always come first, but also your advertisers.
Now, I used to advertise in newspapers and magazines. I've done it over the years. I haven't done it for a number of years because I didn't get the comeback from it. I didn't get what I needed, which for me personally was new people coming to dance, because I think dancing is an incredible thing, improves people's mental health, and I want to get out to as many people as possible. So convince me why I should advertise in your magazine then.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, just putting an advert in works, but it works to a degree. And I think you need to look at a more holistic approach to it. So this is using online, this is using social media, this is using news pieces. So something like your dance classes, a review. So you might put the advert in the magazine. I might then ask somebody to go along, or indeed do it myself, Richard.
That would be the prerequisite.
I think my kids would love to see that.
Yep.
I would go and then review it. So, but an honest review. This is what it's like for a 57-year-old bloke with a dodgy ankle to do this class. How did I feel at the end of it?
Loving the excuses coming out already. That's nice.
I'd like to get them in early.
Good.
And but then it would also, we might share your social media. We might say, look, give us a bit of news. Did one of your guys recently enter a competition? And I think it's really important not just to take the ad, take the check, goodbye, see you next issue. It's really important to create that relationship. And then you might not get the ad inquiries immediately.
No.
I mean, when was the last time that any of us looked at an ad, picked the phone up straight away and bought that Stanley stair lift or whatever it was?
Yeah.
It's more of a building a relationship, and it's creating that brand awareness. So a lot of I always say to new advertisers, please pick up the mag, phone any other advertiser in there and see what the experience has been like for them. And I think that's really important. And some advertisers won't be able to afford to put an ad in every issue. That's fine, we'll still support them. So a great example might be the Pound Arts in Corsham, which is a wonderful place.
My daughter goes there to ballet and modern and tap every week.
Brilliant. No,
Great place.
What a great place.
Great place.
They've got a good, lovely vegetarian restaurant there, cafe. They've got a gallery there, all sorts of classes, all sorts of events.
Yep.
I think they've got Paul Foot coming up, who is hilarious if you get a chance to see Paul Foot.
No.
Oh, he's very funny indeed. But so we would work with them on previews, we would work with them on reviews, we would take the ads. If they put something up on Instagram tomorrow saying, look, some tickets still available for whatever tomorrow, we would share that. So it makes it more of a relationship.
Okay.
And if you're just doing it, give us an ad, we'll see you next issue, I don't think you're doing a job.
Yeah. So you're not as interested yourself if you can't create that relationship.
Yeah, I want to be interested. I want to be part of that readership.
Yeah.
And I want to make it relevant. I mean, apparently I've got a reputation for being the only magazine that sends adverts back to people saying that this isn't good enough, it won't work.
That's great. That's what you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you want it to work for them.
And do you know what? It's almost time for the news, so we might come back to this a little bit later. I love the adverts in your magazine.
Good, it works.
Yeah, it
That's
does
what I
work.
like to see.
And we're going to talk much more about it. Ian's here right until midday today. Don't worry, he will be doing the quick fire round as well. I generally am doing kind of a little JLS dance. How am I looking? Ian, tell me I'm looking good. Am I?
Well, it should be, shouldn't it, from you, Richard?
It'll be hopeful, yeah, but yeah, I'm a good dancer. Well, I'd like to think I've got some
one would
idea.
hope so.
One would hope so, as it is my living. My solo dancing still sometimes requires a bit of work.
Well, I thought the footwork under the desk was fantastic.
The footwork's good.
Yeah.
The handwork, it was just interesting. Let's go there. Anyway, my guest this morning is the lovely Ian Waller. He's from the Bath and Wiltshire Parent
You'll
magazine.
get it right in a minute, won't you?
One day, not this day. Which is a free magazine. If you are interested in getting it for your schools, for instance, and just email him at
editor@thebathparent.co.uk, or you can pick it up at stands at Sainsbury's and Waitrose in Bath, and the library, and a few other places around the city as well.
Now, I have one issue with you, Ian.
Go on,
okay. I have many issues with you, but this is the main one that's really, really getting to me right now.
Go on.
You're saying Bath.
I'm a Bath boy.
But it's Bath.
Well, I'm a Bath boy.
You're a Bath boy. You're sticking with Bath.
Here, mate.
From up north. No, it's one of those things. Obviously, there's no R in Bath, and yet we still say Bath.
Do you know, we mentioned Comedia earlier.
Yeah.
Almost every time I go there, quite often I see a comedian, they always come out and go, is it Bath or Bath? You know, I don't mind.
No.
I genuinely don't mind.
It's just a nice place to live, isn't it?
It's a lovely place to live.
It is a lovely place to live. Now, talking of lovely places to live, Segway Central.
Oh, well done.
Oh, it's almost seamless then, except if I'm now explaining it, so therefore it's no longer seamless. We were talking earlier about the fact that you have done a bit of travelling.
Done a bit of travelling, yeah. And again, that goes back to Future Publishing and the caravans, because I was on the caravan mag at Future, and Chris Anderson, the wonderful man that started Future, when he sold the company, he said, if anybody's made redundant, you'll get a very nice payoff. I was made redundant. I got a very nice payoff. I was a single man in my mid to late 20s. So I got my backpack out and went off around the world for 18 months.
18 months?
18 months.
Wowzers.
And it was the best thing, after having my children and marrying my wife, of course, best thing I've ever done. And it's something I recommend now to everybody, every age. I mean, I'm really keen for, in the nicest possible way, for my children to do it as well.
You just want to get rid of them, don't you?
Do you know, it's interesting because a couple have said, would I go with them to various places,
Okay.
which I take as a huge compliment. But no, travelling, it just gives you this wonderful view of the world. It gets you out of your comfort zone, but sometimes puts you into a new comfort zone. And it challenges and it lets you see other cultures, other people. The way you do it isn't necessarily the only way to do it. It might not be right or wrong, but it just gives you a fresh viewpoint.
So you were a backpacker, effectively.
I was a backpacker.
So that meant that, did you turn up to some places? So name a place. Let's go South Africa, for instance.
So, okay.
So you turn up at the airport in South Africa. What happens next?
Go and find somewhere to stay.
So you've no idea?
No idea. So this was pre-internet. So literally I had a big fat book around the world sort of thing. And I'd get into, for example, Port Elizabeth, and you'd literally, right, where are we going to go? And there was kind of a vibe around. So there were other backpackers. So you go to a hostel and they'd say, oh, if you're going on to Malaysia, you should stay here. If you're going on to Hong Kong, you should stay here. And you'd also meet the locals. And when you get into the airports, or this is a few years ago now, there'd often be people from the hostels there to meet you.
Right.
And you sort of choose one and go off and stay at the hostel for a bit.
Okay.
And it's a fantastic thing to do. Obviously, as a single guy, it's easier. But I've known lots of people who have done it, and some prefer to travel as a couple. Fantastic. But it's great because it does give you that freedom. And while it's very nerve-wracking at first, the only hostel I booked was the first stop at Toronto. And after that, I just saw how it went.
So you just realise that all you have to do is just turn up and there will be somewhere for you to stay.
And if there's not, you'll find it.
Okay.
You know, you literally get the bus in a town and ask around.
Yeah.
And I've done that many times and ended up staying in the strangest of places, from youth hostels to tree houses to mud huts to tents. I mean, in a tent looking down over Hong Kong Harbour was pretty extraordinary.
Right.
In a mud hut in Africa with lions walking around the fence outside. That was pretty cool.
At least you had a fence. Back in my day, you had a pothole.
I tell you, you didn't want to go up and to use the loo in the night. It was an outdoors loo, and none of us did it because of just what might be wandering around.
I had
outside.
the pleasure of doing, for our honeymoon, we did a safari. And
Brilliant.
Again, we're in the middle of Serengeti in Tanzania. And if we wanted to go to the toilet, we had to call in, and one of the Maasai warrior would come out and escort us to the toilet. And there was one point we were in the tents, and we had a number of different times we were in hotels, but sometimes we were in tents, and we actually saw the shapes of the lions as they passed the outside of the tent because there were no fences. So you had a fence.
We
at
had
least.
it posh, didn't we?
You had it posh, you did.
Yeah.
Now, for those that don't know that reference, by the way, this is a Monty Python sketch, The Four Yorkshiremen. I watched that back the other day, actually. First time I've watched it in many, many years.
Does it still work?
It does still work. I'd love them. I think they have done it again when they did Monty Python at the O2.
Yeah.
They redid it, I think, because back then they were all smoking cigars on stage. And their timing was still exceptional.
Yeah.
It really was exceptional. Now, I remember going to Sri Lanka many years ago. And I was there with wife number one, and I've been married a few times. Maybe I shouldn't say that. And I remember sitting by the swimming pool and going, we could literally be anywhere in the world right now, because what we had was we had a swimming pool, we had deck chairs or the sun loungers, and we didn't really go out too much into the actual area because the Tamil tigers were everywhere at that point, and it was quite dangerous to be around. There was armed guards on the door. So for me, when I now go travelling, I'm really, really keen to see actually the culture of somewhere, because I do have those holidays where we just go to a swimming pool, sit around, get tan.
That's brilliant.
And have those
not?
holidays, and they're great. Yeah. But if I'm going somewhere, I want to know about the culture of somewhere.
I think that's the difference when you've got a backpack and maybe you're on your own or it's just a couple of you, because then you can go and do the sites. But it's just as relevant for me when you're travelling to go to the local pub or go to watch the football, or just go mooching around the local area, because that's exactly the same. That's how you actually get to know the area. I mean, if you think we live in a fantastic tourist city of Bath, and people come here and do the big things, but there's loads more to this city that you would never know unless you live here for a while. So when I was travelling, a few of the stops were a couple of days. But for example, Cape Town, I ended up staying there for about 8 months and became a member of a dragon boat team and got to join a quiz team and things. And that's how you really get to know. And those experiences stay with you for your life. And I think it's a great way of learning about other cultures, learning about other ways of seeing things, learning about other histories.
Yeah.
So South Africa being a great example, the terrible times they went through with apartheid, you actually talk to some of the people that lived through that. That's totally different to our experience in Cosy Bath. So I think travelling is a massively important thing to do, and it's something that I'd recommend to anybody.
I had the pleasure of going to Cuba many years ago. This is when Fidel was still around. I had a bike accident, and I decided that I wasn't going to ride my bike anymore, sold the bike and went to Cuba, which was far better use of the money, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, great place.
We had a very bizarre scenario in that we were at the hotel and that was all fine. And then one of the locals said, well, I think we were out. I can't remember exactly how it came about. One of the locals said, we will drive you around for the day and then we'll feed you at the end of the day. And we were like, is this a bit dodgy? And we actually went for it. And they drove us around to places that we'd never would have got to see. And then when we went to their house, we were really quite nervous going into their house. They'd set up this massive platter of food, which must have been enough food for about 20 people for about 10 days. There was just 2 of us. But they were putting on so much for us. And that experience, which is nearly 30 years ago now, I'll never forget.
Yeah.
And it's that local experience.
Well, you're showing an interest in their life. And we all like to talk. And as we were saying earlier, everybody's got a story. And it's these sort of things that give the world so much sort of more validity from our tiny standpoint in Bath. And I think that sort of experience, I mean, I've stayed at a similar sort of thing. I stayed at a farm in New Zealand and ended up rounding up the sheep on a motorbike.
Right.
Now, 2 days before that, I wouldn't have dreamt I'd have been rounding up sheep on a motorbike. But there I was doing it. And what a wonderful experience. Now, you're not going to get that on a TUI holiday.
No.
Nothing wrong with a TUI holiday, but you're not going to get that.
Other brands are available too.
Other brands. But, I mean, it was great. So, I mean, recently we did have a family holiday in Corfu, which was wonderful. And we had a few days by the pool.
Yeah.
But we also went out and had a big explore everywhere, often off the beaten track. And that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And I could see my children, they're all teenagers, but I'm getting that bug. Where can we go next? Where can we go next? And I think that's great. It's a wonderful way to see that there's more to the world than our lives.
Yeah. No, I think it's a fantastic thing, and if you can travel, absolutely do. Now, last week on my show, I had the lovely Ruby Derbyshire. She played some tracks, and I thought it'd be really nice to hear one of the tracks as well that she did. So, this was from the live set that she did last week. This is a cover version of Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh, wow.
And she did a beautiful version. It's from the film Captain Fantastic. If you haven't seen that film, it's a brilliant film. If you want to catch up on any of the previous shows that I've done, type in Radio Bath to any podcast provider, and they'll be able to play it for you.
She's got a smile that is
right time to roll to me, the right time to roll to me.
Delamitri and Roll to Me. Don't know why I'm saying it like that. There we go. Some weird noise in the background there, wasn't it?
Yeah, what was that?
I'm guessing that's from the song, because that's the thing. It was still playing.
I guess so. I've got a squeaky chair now.
You've got a squeaky chair. Maybe it wasn't my chair. Maybe it's you squeaking.
Maybe it's me. I did sound knocking on a bit. Maybe it's the bones.
Anything is possible. So you're here, Ian Waller from the Bath and Wiltshire Parent Magazine.
Well done.
I've
well
got
done.
it right.
Whee!
Hour and 25 in. I've finally got the name of the magazine correct. And we're going to talk a little bit more actually about the magazine itself.
Yeah.
So it's been around for how long now?
17 years, and we're coming up to the 100th issue, actually. We've just put out the 90th issue.
Right.
So, midway through next year. Or somewhere on there. My maths.
And it comes out
good.
every other month?
Every other month, yeah. So the next issue is actually out on Monday.
Right.
So the team will be out, rushing around the area in vans, distributing it. We try to get them all out within 4 days, which isn't bad for 22,000 copies.
That's very good. I was going to say, there's at the very end of the magazine, if you haven't seen it, do you know what? It's probably the only magazine I've read, genuinely, and it's not because you're here. It's probably the only magazine I've read in the last 5 years.
Fantastic.
Because it's probably the only magazine I actually see. Because I am a parent and I do see the magazine and it's around.
But it's interesting you say about magazines, because magazines, the role of the magazine and how people read it and use it has changed. So it used to be, if I wrote for Flyer magazine or the Guitar Mags, and the pieces will be 5 pages long or 6 pages, and but people don't have that time now. And we learnt a while ago that our magazine is often read by a mum at the end of the school run. She'll finally get home, sit down, cup of coffee, and she'll want to read a 1-page piece. So I haven't got time for. So we changed the magazine.
Okay.
And it's so important to. When I've done journalism training courses, I say you write what the writer. You don't write what the writer wants to write. You write what the reader wants to read, and that's so important. And so many magazines will put out the stuff they've always wanted to put out because that's what we're good at. Well, is that what your reader wants? And it's so important. And I think that's why a lot of magazines have fallen to one side.
Yeah,
they're so wrapped up in themselves. Actually, they should be looking at the readership.
We often talk so I DJ as well, and when I train the new DJs up to do it, I say, whatever you like is irrelevant. It's not about you. It's about the people that are on the floor that are going to be dancing to the music that you are playing. Whatever you like doesn't matter. I DJ'd a gig recently. Generally, for the first 2.5 hours, I didn't like one track I put on. Not one. But it didn't matter because it wasn't about me. Yeah. And again, it's the same in your magazine. As I say, it's about the readers.
Absolutely, and that's why it's important that the team on the magazine reflect that readership. So I'm not that readership typically, so I have to listen to the people that are working on my team and saying, and the schools and the mums that get in touch, and we do have that. If you ever thought about this, can you do this?
Yeah.
And it's not always a yes, but often it is. And often what you'll find is we put it in the magazine, and then the mums will take it to the school. So we might do a day's out. There's this incredible place just opened up near Warminster. It's a ski slope, but it's actually a conveyor belt.
Right.
You imagine on a slope, and you stay in one spot and the slope moves beneath you. And that's the sort of thing that we'll put it on there. They do school trips and things.
Okay.
A mum will now undoubtedly go to schools in Wiltshire and say, oh, look, have you seen this?
Yeah.
We should do a school trip there. And that's the sort of thing that happens. Or they'll look at the piece with Emma Pawtucket now next to them and saying, oh, right, maybe we can help a group of kids at the school by speaking to these people. And that's really important, and you only get that by understanding who your readership is and what they want.
Yeah. No, and that is quite key. I mean, you was talking about getting out really quickly, and I suppose it's quite important because you've got an enormous what's on section.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many pages? Let's see if I can get this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages of what's on, which is incredible.
And there's more online.
Right.
Because the online is updated every single day, the website.
Okay.
And that's the news and the events. So we don't charge for those listings. So if somebody's got an event that's reader relevant, it goes back to that rule again. If it's reader relevant, we will put it out on there and shout about it, because that's what the readers want.
And again, if anybody wanted to get in contact with you, how would they do that, Ian?
Editor at thebathparent.co.uk, Richard. Thank you very much.
That's okay. But yeah, I mean, obviously it goes out every other month. So in the second month, obviously, a lot of the what's on won't be relevant anymore.
Well, it depends. I mean, for example, so the next issue that comes out will have a lot of Christmas stuff in there. It'll be November and December. I sometimes do have to give the people putting the events on a bit of a nudge. When are your next? It's like parents. You get some that are very organised and they know what they're doing in 6 months' time, and you get the ones like me that it's the morning and you're thinking, what are we going to do? And it's the same with the people you work with. And so the Theatre Royal will know 3 months in advance what they're doing.
Yeah.
But you might talk to somebody else and they've got no idea what's happening next week. And it's important to work with both of them. And it's fun. It's good. I mean, this is part of the joy of it as well. You work with these people and they appreciate what you're doing as well. And it's great when you get an advertiser ringing up saying that worked really well. Even better when you get a mum getting in touch saying, oh, that was really useful.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I mean, the strange thing is I often think about advertising because I do a lot of advertising, and the way in which I look at it is that it's not me advertising. I'm trying to give a product, whatever that product may be, to make people's lives better. So that's kind of how I always view it, and I'm guessing for your advertisers that's what they're trying to do as well. Yes, they're trying to make their business work, but also trying to make people's lives better.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's clever the way that some do it. So we work a lot with Bath Vet Group, and they put an advert in every single issue, always have, hopefully always will. They're great people to work with. But they don't put an advert in saying, come to Bath Vet Group. They'll put a piece in about something that'll advice for your animal.
Yeah.
So for the next issue, as I recall, it's all about, Christmas treats for your pets. Be careful what you can give them, what you can't. So they're not necessarily saying, come to us. Also, when we work with people like Thwings, they're the same. They won't be talking about Thwings, we're wonderful. They'll be showing their expertise. They'll be given the information that people need.
Yeah.
And then people will realise this has come from a trusted, impressive source. And it's very much the same with us. And we talk to the advertisers and say, look, people won't fall for flim-flam. You've got to get the information they need and give them something that will benefit them.
What a great word, flim-flam.
Flim-flam. It's a cracker, isn't it?
It is a cracker. There's so many other words you could have said, but radio-friendly is flim-flam.
I don't know where that came from.
No, I've never heard it before. I really like it.
Yeah,
I know you've said other words then, but the flim-flam is the only thing I've really heard.
Yeah, that's all you've remembered, flim-flam.
It is. Yeah, I have no idea what you said, if I'm honest with you. But flim-flam.
Nor have I.
Now, we spoke earlier about the fact that the scene is changing quite a lot. You have your online presence as well as you have your magazine. Kind of where do you see it going?
I think, for a while, it's like whenever there's a new thing, everything goes towards that. So with the internet's fantastic, but it's also, you can get anything on the internet. And, how trusted is the internet? I love the internet. I'm on it every day. I'm looking at the BBC and CNN, fascinated by politics. Donald Trump and Kamala in America, obsessed by it. But I think there's also room for different products for different people. So my old mum still gets her People's Friend magazine, and she likes to sit down and read that. The mums coming home from the school run, they maybe look to their phone all morning. They want to sit down and look at a product. So I think it's a matter of, again, knowing your audience and creating the product that works for them. When I first went into magazines 40 odd years ago, sales were high, and for many years we rode that wave, and it was wonderful. Sales fell off because internet came along, but now they're actually building again. And I think people are understanding that you've got to develop your product to fit this new marketplace, to fit this new now. And I think that's what we're doing. That's why the Bath Wiltshire Parent is growing all the time. We're being asked by more and more schools every single issue. Yeah. Can they take the school? Can they take the magazine?
And again, for those who weren't listening earlier, how do they get in contact with you for doing that?
It's editor at thebathparent.co.uk, Richard.
And it's free for the schools to take on.
Absolutely. So we work with the schools, and we work with all the private schools, and we work with all the state schools, and we work with the preschools and the nurseries. So the magazine takes the families right from naught right up to going off to university. So each issue of the magazine, we go to a school to do a school report. The next issue is actually focusing on the Soma Valley campus for Bath College. So that's very much 16 upwards. And in that way, we're taking the children right up to uni. And we actually work with the University of Bath as well.
Brilliant.
It's really important that if they have an open day, our readership want to know about that.
Yeah.
If Moncton or one of the Beecham or one of the schools around the area have an open day, we tell people about it. And it's really important to have that relationship.
Absolutely. Now, you were at the business breakfast for Radio Bath this morning.
I was.
And as you were leaving, somebody asked you a question, didn't they?
They did.
What was that question?
They said, what's my favourite type of crisps?
What's your favourite type of crisps? Or what's your favourite type of ice cream as well?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Favourite ice cream it was, yeah.
It was ice cream, I do apologise.
And you're thinking, why are they asking that? Yeah. Well, you're going to be asked it next. Time for quick fire very shortly. You've requested this one as well, haven't you?
That's right. There's a story behind this, but I'll tell you later.
We'll listen to it shortly. listening to an interview with Simon Le Bon.
Oh, right.
Rob Brydon was doing an interview with Simon Le Bon, and he was talking about the 70s music, and he was saying about that for Duran Duran is that there weren't actually that many bands around. Obviously this is early 80s, pre-internet, pre-anything like that, and he was saying about the impact of bands like, or artists like David Bowie, because they were groundbreaking and that was all that you could have at that point. I never really understood David Bowie particularly.
I love Bowie. I had the great pleasure of seeing him live once, and I think he's just one of the greats.
Yeah.
You know, he was somebody that would challenge it and he'd change things. And a lot of the great bands out there would do that. You look at someone like my youngest is mad on Black Sabbath.
Okay.
And they challenged and they changed. And they brought their own vibe and their own sound. And I think it's great when you get Hendrix, I mean, the best of them all. They changed it. And I think that's just fantastic. And Bowie's definitely there.
Yeah. So it was eye-opening for me to think there weren't that many bands around. He did say that somebody had quoted that Duran Duran were the last of the great British rock bands of the Beatles, the Stones, and Duran Duran. I thought that's slightly far-fetched.
I think that's very far-fetched.
Wouldn't put them in the same category as the Beatles and the Stones, but there we go. Moving swiftly on, it's quick fire time.
Oh,
so you've no idea what these questions are.
No, I don't. No idea at all.
And people often get a bit nervous about this, but you'll be fine. You really will. Okay, so you asked the question at the business breakfast meeting this morning, what is your favourite ice cream? The reason for that is it's the first question of the quick fire round. Ian Waller from the Bath, hang on.
Go on, get it right, Richard. Come on, mate.
The Bath and Wiltshire parent, Bath's biggest magazine, great news for families since 2008, and it's free magazine, editor of... What is your favourite ice cream?
I think it's strawberry cheesecake, Häagen-Dazs. A bit posh,
That's
but
all right.
It is nice. I do enjoy strawberry cheesecake.
Strawberry cheesecake?
Yeah.
Nice.
Although I did have a very nice raspberry whipple just the other day at the Rowdy Cow in Roud, little name drop, and that was very nice as well.
Okay. So you're a fruity man.
Fruity man in many ways, apparently. Yeah.
Are you tidy or messy?
Oh, messy.
Oh, just straight out, just messy.
Oh, full on. Ask my wife. Yeah, terrible.
Okay.
Absolutely. My desk at home. I have a desk at home, which is a mess, and I do one of the co-worker schemes at New at Works, and obviously that has to be tidy.
Yeah.
But even by the end of the day, I've filled that desk out with various detritus. So yeah, messy.
So therefore, is your mind messy as well? Is your mind tidy?
Big time. No, messy.
Just all
messy.
over.
Juggling too many balls. So easily distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Okay, so you're the messy person. Right. Love or hate roller coasters?
That's a good one. Because I wasn't keen on the idea of it. And I'm always a believer on, if the kids want to do it, I'll do it with them if they want me to. So we went to Alton Towers, went on all the rides, and I thought, I've got to do it. Well, by the end, you couldn't get me off them.
Right.
I was loving it.
Good.
So, yeah, love.
Love roller coasters. I equally love roller coasters as well.
Yes.
I haven't been on any this year yet, just thinking about it. And now it's kind of past it.
I think it's a great thing about kids is they can introduce you to these things. And, I mean, even at the soft plays, we were never the ones sat around the edge drinking a cup of coffee.
You were running around
We were running around on the soft
Just
play.
hurts your back as you're bending forwards underneath everything, but there we go. Right, most important question. Do you hang your toilet roll over the top or behind the back?
It generally sits on the floor, actually, because the toilet roll holder came off the wall.
So is your wife now saying, if she's listening, will you put the toilet roll back on the wall?
Yeah, she will be. And, I will do. And I don't know. I guess, let's just say over the top. I think over the top, but I can't be certain on that, Richard.
Over the top is the correct answer. There is a correct answer on this.
I'll get back to you on it when I do it next.
You're going to go home and then see, right, which way is it? So you must do you have more than one toilet at home?
No, we just have the one.
Just the one toilet?
Yeah, we just have the one.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. I was talking to my daughter, actually, the 8-year-old, about the fact that when I grew up, that we actually had the outside toilet.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, what do you mean outside? When you had to go outside and go into a little shed, effectively, to go to the toilet. She went, why would you do that? I went, that's what we had. So back in the deer.
Going back to Monty Python again.
Back in the pothole again. Right, do you eat your chocolate from the fridge or from the cupboard?
Well, it depends on the chocolate, doesn't it?
Oh, okay, go on.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, a good dark chocolate, which is the proper chocolate. My grandfather was a chocolatier. He owned a chocolate factory in Bristol. Still there, Gilbert's. And you do not put chocolate in the fridge, but that was quality chocolate. So a good dark chocolate, most certainly not. But I must admit, a sort of whole nut or something, stick it in the fridge first. Yeah, so dark chocolate not, cheaper chocolate.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, look,
That's
it's considered, isn't it?
That is a very different answer, which is nice. I think I know the answer to this one due to your earlier answer, and that is: do you make your bed in the morning?
No. Very, very short answer. No, I don't. No, no.
Just no.
Yeah, I can't put anything else more on that.
That's
one, I'm
okay.
afraid.
Do you know, we've actually changed the way we make our bed due to the fact that I've been asking this question for the last couple of years.
Right.
And somebody mentioned to me about the fact that if you have your quilt over the top of your sheet, then all the bed bugs and everything kind of fester and grow much more. So you should actually fold it back halfway and air your bed out a little bit.
That's what my wife does. But we have a couple of cats, and one of them, Indy, is a big cat.
Right.
So if he's on the bed first, he generally just dominates it, and whatever happens then is down to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is generally folded back, but that's not my doing.
It's your wife's doing.
That's my wife's doing.
Okay, well done to wife. What is your favourite breakfast?
Do you know, I don't often eat breakfast these days.
Okay.
I kind of go for more of a miss out on breakfast and lunch and go for kind of a brunch. But if it's a stock one...
Yeah, what if you were like at a hotel or something like that?
If I was at a hotel, I'd have, smoked salmon and poached eggs then. If I was at a hotel, I do like my smoked salmon and poached eggs. Right. But not every day, normally just, if it'd be a couple of boiled eggs, I guess.
Okay.
Quite a bit boring that, isn't it?
No, smoked salmon and poached eggs is a lovely thing
like
to
that.
do.
Or when we recently, as I mentioned in Corfu, and we were going for the yoghurt and nuts and stuff, I did like that. I did like that a lot, actually.
It's a nice way to start the day.
Yeah, it is.
I got very confused when I went to my first all-inclusive, and they had bubbly on breakfast time. I was like, well, we're here.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Why not?
But it'll go off if you don't.
I felt obliged.
That was good of you.
Yeah. I helped them quite a lot.
Done.
Yeah.
Well done. You're a helpful person.
Every day. Yeah, I helped them a lot. What is, if you had to do it, your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, blimey.
Now, you've been in bands.
Oh, yeah, but I'm not allowed to sing.
Are you not?
I mean, yeah, it's a definite Ian doesn't sing. Crikey, what would be my go-to karaoke? I think I would like to do... do you know what I'd do? I'd do Bat Out of Hell.
Meatloaf.
Yeah, because I can't sing.
Right.
And I could really rip that apart.
Okay.
Yeah, I could really make Meatloaf spin in his grave, poor fella.
Right.
But, yeah, I'd just do that because it would be so bad. If you could go bad... Go bad.
If you're going to go bad, go proper bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
If you put it on now, there's no way that I'm going to be karaokeing along.
No, I won't put it on for you just yet, but we will have it as your last song. How does that sound?
Thank you very much, Richard.
All good. Favourite TV programme or film?
Oh, that's a good one. Favourite film, I think, is probably Guns of Navarone.
Okay.
My kids all laugh about this because it is sort of a go-to film. When we were little kids, I've got two brothers and my dad, and we'd sit there watching all the old war films, and that was always the one that we'd watch so many times. Although I do love Back to the Future as well. That's a great film.
Great film.
What was the other one?
Favourite TV programme?
Favourite TV programme? I love Have I Got News for You.
Very good.
Yeah, cracking. Yeah. Really good, really relevant, very funny.
It is indeed. Yeah. 2 questions to go then. If you came back in your next life as an animal, which one would you be and
animal.
Why? Or a bird?
Do you know, going back to the travelling, we went to Umfolozi, and it was a safari park, and we saw some giraffes there. And I love giraffes. I absolutely love them. They're so kind of elegant, but so awkward at the same point. I come back as a giraffe.
Giraffe?
Yeah, I love giraffes. Either a giraffe or my cat, because he is the laziest.
Cat is the obvious answer for everyone, but we're sticking with giraffe.
We're going to giraffe.
Staying with giraffe.
Yeah.
And your last question, Ian, where is your happy place?
Oh, my happy place. Yeah, that's a good one. I think I do love sitting down with the kids watching a film. I like being at a gig. But I also play cricket for a fashion for Bath Seconds. So I do like being out with the lads, playing cricket on a Saturday afternoon. And particularly if it's one of those rare times we win, that's a lovely place to be.
And are you a batter or a bowler or a bit of both?
I'm a bowler.
Bowler?
That wants to be a batter.
Right.
But I don't think I'm going to get the chance after many years and not many high schools. But no, I do enjoy playing my cricket with the Bathford boys.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming in today, Ian. Hope you enjoyed it.
Brilliant.
If anybody does want to get in contact with you, because you haven't said it enough, please let us know how they can get in contact with you.
Thank you for pushing that out there, Richard. It's editor@thebathparent.co.uk, and you can have a look at us online as well, the Bath and Wiltshire Parent.co.uk, and we're on Instagram and Facebook, but I can't remember what the tags are, so you just have to Google those, I'm afraid.
Go for it. I'm back next Thursday. The lovely Charlotte is up next. Here's a bit of Bat Out of Hell for you.
Hooray!
and the fires are howling way down in the valley tonight. There's a man in the shadows with the gum in his eye and a blade shining oh so bright. There's evil in the air and there's thunder in the sky and a killer's on the bloodshot streets. Oh, and down in the tunnel with a deadly horizon, oh, I swear I saw a young boy down in the gutter. He was starting to foam in the heat